Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Glassman's world. I'm Dan the Glassman. We're about to get started here. So, Balloon Fiesta is over, guys. It was a really long week. It was 9 days. Well, 10 days for me. I ended up starting out on Albuquerque Aloft, which was the day before our Balloon Fiesta event on October 4th. So October 3rd, I went out and I was documenting. Um, I was just documenting the balloons aloft and the first balloons that go up. And then for 9 days straight, I was streaming live at the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. We were doing the Glassman's unofficial Balloon Fiesta Live Dawn Patrol show. Alright, so we're going to get started here. Let's get the glasses on. Alright, so this morning, I'm thinking I'm going to work on some mushrooms and maybe some jellyfish. I only got a little bit of time. I only got about an hour until I have to get my daughter to school. So we'll see what I can make in that time here. So for the last 2 weeks or so, and during Balloon Fiesta, I was pretty much just focused on making nothing but hot air balloons, glass balloons. But Balloon Fiesta's over, and last Sunday when I went to go vend, I realized I was pretty much sold out on all my glass balloons. But not only that, I was sold out on all kinds of stuff. A few weeks ago, someone bought out all of my mushrooms, all of my the original $5 mushrooms. And then last week, someone bought out all of my spirals. And then I'm out of balloons. I only have a few jellyfish. I only have, I don't know, I'm thinking 5 of these mushrooms, the Amanita mushrooms. So I'm thinking, you know what, let's make some mushrooms. Why not? So right now I'm spinning up some, I believe it's onyx with a little bit of the caramel here. So I'm hoping that this will work for the gills underneath the mushroom here. So I try to actually get the gills to the mushroom underneath the mushroom cap. And then I do all the dots on the mushroom cap. So this is my style here, guys. I've seen a few others on how they make their mushrooms, but I don't think anyone makes them as nice as mine are. And yeah, I may be partial to my own work, but at the same time, I've watched a ton of videos, and I really don't see anyone else making them as clean. There's different ways, so I kind of do like an implosion, and then do an encasement. A lot of people just do like the full implosion, or I don't know. There's different ways, but we need to actually get this off of here. So Balloon Fiesta was really, really awesome. Out there every morning. It's hard to wake up, at 3 o'clock in the morning and then be out the door by 3:30, 3:45, 4 o'clock. I was pushing it the last few days. I was like barely leaving at like 4 o'clock. And I was hoping to be there at 4. But it was hard to get myself ready and my son ready, but we pulled it off. We managed to make it happen. That was cool. He went 3 days in a row, which is hard to do for anyone. Even our age, it's hard to do. So I'm really proud of him. And he wanted to do it. I wasn't trying to force him. I was like, if you want to stay home, you can sleep. Alright, so right now what I'm doing is I'm straightening out this twisted cane here, just trying to make it as straight as possible. And like I said, this is going to be the gills underneath. And we'll see how this works. I don't know if I need to make it smaller or what. Alright. So the trick to making these is starting out with the clear. You got to push the mushroom stem in first. So we'll do like a little implosion. We're just going to force the color glass into here. And I'll use this, I think it's caramel. So we'll use this color here, the caramel. It could be butterscotch. Every time I purchase it, I always forget what it is. And there's no label on the bottom. So it could be caramel, it could be butterscotch. I think it's butterscotch though. Because I think butterscotch has more of the red. Or wait, no, butterscotch is more of the brownish, and this is probably caramel, but more of that red. Alright, so what we do is we get the clear glass molten, and you force this in here. You don't want it to mushroom. And then you want to try to get that centered. So you're going to pull that upward. And then we'll add our little bit of our spiral caramel with our onyx here. And this should create that. We're just going to wrap it around the top here. And then what I do is I flatten that out. And now there's a dot of color there, and we need to cover all that up with the with this cherry red here. And so now what I do is I just make sure that the red completely covers all that color I added there. And then we're going to add some white dots to it, and it's pretty much done at that point. And I just got to encase it. So right here is, that's the implosion of adding the stem, then adding a little bit of some surface work to it. I'll heat it up a little bit so I can see how big I need to make this. And you want to make sure that that's big enough to cover all of that black and white, so it's underneath it. And then we pull that red off. Do a little flame kiss or flame cut, and then we'll melt down the color so that's ready for the next time. That way it's not just all pulled out. So I just get that prepared there for the next one. And now we're going to shape this up into the mushroom here. So then at this point, you can make it either round or you can make it flat. So I'm just using the paddle here. And we'll just shape up the mushroom. So now there's the stem in there and there's the mushroom on top right there. And we'll add our dots of white. I'm going to add a bunch of little dots right on top of there. And then we'll just melt those in. And then I want to make sure that this is all nice and smooth, I guess, or kind of like flat, all at that same angle. So I'm going to be forcing some clear glass to go over this whole top of the mushroom cap here. And we want to make sure no air bubbles get trapped in between the cap and where the clear glass is. So you really want to make sure that this is nice and smooth, so then that clear glass goes over it nice and smooth. And now I see that there's some kind of color or something on here. I'm not sure what that is. Like a little dot of something. There's like a little piece of some kind of color or something. What I'm going to do is heat it up. So I basically just got it molten, touched this piece of glass to it, and then just peeled it off. So now that surface is clear. I don't have a little colored dot or something. I don't know what that dot was or where it came from. Alright, so I'm just going to smooth it out again. Just get it all nice and smooth here. And then you want to have this kind of an angle here. You see how it's like tapered, like kind of down to a point? Because I'm going to put clear glass over this, and I want it to kind of engulf over. So it's going to just go and cover it up. And actually, I need to get another piece of glass. So I'm going to heat this up real quick. And we're just going to set it down here. That way we don't have any sort of crackage or anything. Alright, so now I'm going to just cut this up. Flame cut it here, just cut it in half. So good morning everyone. Thank you for tuning in and watching. So these are the amanita mushrooms here. And like I said, I've only got like 4 or 5 of them in my inventory, so I should probably work on trying to get about 20 of these made. You know, it would be nice if I could actually get my inventory up to where it's like I have like 50 or 100 items always on hand. And any time that I sell one, I just remake it again and again. That would be a nice place to be. That way, if anyone ever orders like 100 of something, you know, I can just replace it real quick. And that way I always have that amount too. So if anyone does place an order, I'll be like, oh yeah, I got that right here, right now. Okay, so now, hopefully we didn't let that cool down too much. So we're going to re-warm this up. And we're going to get the clear one molten. The one with the mushroom, we're going to basically force it into this one, or force this one on top of that one. So I have to really get this rod molten right now. And good morning, how you guys doing out there? See a few people are watching. I know it's early. Well, at least for our time, for Mountain Standard Time here in the United States, it's only about 7 or 8 o'clock, something like that. Alright, so now this is molten. The mushroom is warm, as you can see it's glowing there. We're just going to encase it. We're going to force this clear glass directly on top. You got to do it smooth in one motion, so you don't trap any air bubbles. And then what I do is I cut off the mushroom stem. So I got to go underneath that whole thing, and we're just gonna pull off the whole mushroom from this point here. And then I can melt it all down. So this is what it looks like right now. It looks pretty bad. But we're going to pull this off here and do a flame cut directly under the mushroom stem. And then the stem is probably going to elongate a little bit, so you don't want to get too close to the stem. And then depending, you know, like I make mine to where they're floating, but you could go back in and you can wipe off all that clear glass. You could wipe off all the clear glass underneath there and pull it from where that the mushroom stem is, you know, and get it to where it's touching the bottom again. But I like to leave mine floating. So now I'm going to melt down the bottom and then melt it all together, so it all becomes fused as one. And there should be no air bubbles in there. So we're slowly rounding that up there. And then we'll get to the crease where the two pieces of glass join together. And we'll just allow both pieces to fuse together into one. And it'll look like it's just all one piece of glass. You won't know how I did that unless you watch the video. And even still, when you watch this video, you may see how it's done, but you still may not know how to do it yourself. This is pretty advanced techniques. So now you can see that crease is going away and it's all melting together there. And hopefully I was able to get the gills underneath the mushroom here, to where when you look at it from underneath, like this way here, you should be able to see those gills if you look at it at that angle. You can't see it right now because it's glowing hot. And that was a big piece of clear glass. That mushroom cap was actually pretty big comparatively to other ones I've made, so I needed a little bit more clear glass on it. So the more glass that you got to use, the longer it's going to take to melt things down. So this is going to take a little bit longer in time to just get it to round out. But we'll get there. We're almost done with the bottom portion here. Alright, so now you can see that whole bottom area is nice and smooth. And now I just got to work on the top portion. And these things take a while. These aren't fast. That's why I sell them for 20. I could probably get away with selling these things for 40 bucks, especially when I post things online. I don't know. I tend to sell my items for very affordable rates. Alright, and then I'm just going to make sure it's all nice and barreled and rounded. Now I'm just melting it down on the surface and making sure that there's no tooling marks. What's going on? Not so fast. Hope your day is well. I saw you got vids of the festival but have not got to watch them all. Trout, good morning, brother man. So how you guys doing today? I did stream every morning for Balloon Fiesta, the Glassman's unofficial Balloon Fiesta Live Dawn Patrol show. I call it the unofficial Balloon Fiesta Live because there is a, it's a trademarked live show, Balloon Fiesta Live, with an exclamation mark. And so I just do the unofficial Balloon Fiesta Live, which I call it the Glassman's unofficial Balloon Fiesta Live Dawn Patrol show. And so it basically is just an up-close look at Dawn Patrol and what we set up. And what Dawn Patrol is so Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta is the largest hot air balloon event in the world, right here in Albuquerque. It's been going on for 53 years now, since 1972. And it started out with only 13 balloons, and now it's up to like close to 600 balloons getting registered every year. At one point, there was one year in the 90s, I think, they had a record of like close to 1,000 balloons were registered, and I think at least 800 of them took flight all at one time. So Dawn Patrol, Balloon Fiesta starts officially around 7 a.m., where they do the national anthem, and then they launch the balloon of the day. Now, prior to this is what's known as Dawn Patrol. At 6 a.m., several balloons, well, about a dozen balloons that are hand selected every year get to fly in the dark. So these pilots are like world class. They're the best of the best. They have to be in order to fly in the dark. They have to have special lights so other aircraft can see them, airplanes and things like that, helicopters. And so, and then when you fly at dawn, you have to wait until the sun comes up in order to land safely. So you got to fly for at least 45 minutes to an hour at that point before the sun comes up. So Dawn Patrol is like this amazing show in the morning that happens before the opening ceremony, before the national anthem and everything. We are like our own little exclusive show in the morning, right at dawn. So I work every morning, and Balloon Fiesta Live, they don't go live until about 6 a.m., right when we're like launching and up in the air already at that point. So they miss the whole like setup. They miss all of us, what we're doing when we're setting up and things like that. So that's why for the last few years I've been doing this unofficial Balloon Fiesta Live Dawn Patrol show. Maybe it can get syndicated. Maybe I can get picked up by Balloon Fiesta Live. Maybe they would have my show on. That would be cool. It's like they might not go on till 6 a.m., but we can archive it onto their website or something like that, which would be pretty cool. All right, so there goes the very first one, guys, of the day. I don't know how long that took. About as long as this video has been going, so 30 minutes. So let's see if we can get the next one down to about 25 or 20 minutes. And then, so these ones, like I said, I don't know too many other glass artists who know how to make the amanita mushrooms with the dots on them. And then also as small as I make them, and as detailed, and then also putting the gills underneath the mushroom. I don't know anyone who makes them like this, makes them as clean, makes them as quick. I mean, 30 minutes is pretty quick. I don't know anyone who does them. So I could, charge 40 or 50 bucks on these, but I only asked $20. Excuse me. I got some kind of congestion going on. So, if anyone is interested in any of my glass, it's always available. That one definitely was pushed crooked. I'm going to redo that. That's the one thing I love about glass is like, I can always choose like, all right, I didn't like that. Let me do it better. I just want to get it a little bit better centered here. Alright, so the trick is making sure that the stem is centered, so that way everything else gets built up around their centers. And I add that little bit of spiral there, and that will become the gills. And then we flatten that on top of the stem there. So now the gills are basically the base to what I have to put the red on. So it's just like that. And I just put this cherry red right on top of there. Oh, I don't know what happened. Chat got disconnected. Did we lose signal? Did I lose viewers? Alright, so now I'm just going to add a dot right here. You gotta make sure it's big enough to engulf around the whole entire gills that I put on the bottom there. So today, our son doesn't have any school. I would normally be gone at this point. But I do got to get my daughter to school here in a little while. I got parent-teacher conferences for our son. And in about 30 to 40 minutes, I'm going to have to let you go. So we may only have enough time to make one more of these here. So now I'm just using my paddle here and just shaping the red over, just kind of forcing it over the gills so they're not sticking out on the edge here. Then the dots. Cool, thank you. I'm glad you're still here. I love watching artists as well. I do watch a lot of other glass artists and just other artists in general. I basically consider myself like a Renaissance artist. I used to do a lot of painting and drawing and stuff like that, but it's been years since I've done anything. But I used to love to do black and white, pencil, charcoal, colored pencil, and then acrylic paints. I never really got into oil, but I got into acrylic. Never really got into watercolor either. Alright, now we're going to get this all nice and smooth here. That way we can add that clear glass right on top. So now you can see there's a stem inside there, and then there's the mushroom cap. And then the trick is making sure that when you encase it, that you don't trap any air bubbles. That's the hardest part of this. To make it look like it just magically appears inside of that glass. So you got to start with clean glass. You got to make sure there's no air bubbles in your glass to begin with. I do use Scout glass, which is German glass. And it's one of the most transparent, one of the most cleanest, clearest glass there is. That's why I use it for making the water drops. Everyone thinks that my water drops are basically just made out of water. They think there's water inside the glass. I'm like, no, it's just glass. It's just so clean and pristine. All right, so we get this molten. Get that warm. Keeping the mushroom cap and the rest of that clear glass warm allows for the molten glass to adhere to it and not allow for air bubbles. So you gotta definitely keep that glass warm. And then once you get this white hot, where it's super molten white hot, then you just go and force it in there. And then I always want to make sure I have that there, so then I can use that to force the clear glass. Because when you push this on, it kind of like makes a mushroom cap on its own, and so I'll use the paddle to like smooth it out, to flatten out the cylinder of the glass here. All right, here we go. We're about to do it. Takes a minute to get it molten. Well, a couple minutes. All right, now it's molten. I'm going to do the deed here. Boom. Force it in. You got to get that clear glass over the whole thing. And then you spin it. So what I'm looking for is when I'm attaching that, I want to make sure that that clear glass in there is encased by that other piece of glass. So that way I can see the mushroom cap, the whole thing. And that way I know that that clear piece totally engulfed over it. Because if it's not pushed all the way in, then you might have some of that mushroom cap trying to like peek out from the crease right there. Some of that color might try to like sneak out. So you want to really make sure that that whole mushroom has got pushed into that clear glass, or it's completely engulfed or encased in there. Now this mushroom stem is a little bit short, so it's all right if I get it to pull some. I don't mind that at all. And cut it off. Do that flame cut. So now it's got that point. We're going to get rid of that point there. Melt it all down. So I had a lot of fun during Balloon Fiesta with custom balloons. I was able to make several different ones that, do I have any here to show you guys? No. I don't know where they are. They're probably with all my stuff in the car for vending. So in glass blowing, it's really good to become ambidextrous, so you can spin with your left, spin with your right. And you give both arms a rest from time to time, when you need to. But I am right-handed, but my right shoulder isn't the strongest shoulder that I got, so you'll see me tend to go to my left sometimes. That's just to give my right arm a break before my fingers go too numb and I can't feel the glass, and then it becomes dangerous because if my fingers are numb, I might be able to drop the molten glass, which could land directly on my lap. I've burnt so many pairs of pants and shorts and shirts in 30 years. I don't think I own a pair of clothes that doesn't have a little burn hole. Even with just like little tiny chips of glass, sometimes, you know, you breaking off portions of glass or something, it might just fall right on you and you don't even notice it. Later on, you find a little sharp piece, you're like, oh man, that thing is stuck to my shirt. Cotton is always better to wear than polyester. The polyester will melt, just basically turn to plastic. Look at that thing. All right, that one was a little bit quicker, yeah? So I went to my local bead shop yesterday, Stone Mountain Beads. And apparently I've purchased all of the black 2mm cord that they've purchased in the last month. All of the balloons and the orders that I got, I went through it a lot quicker than they were able to reorder. So yesterday when I stopped by, I was forced to take the brown 2mm cord instead of the black. So in some of my necklaces that I'm tying up, when I'm stringing them up, they're going to have a brown 2mm cord instead of black. And hopefully that's not a problem. I was thinking I might just end up ordering my own and getting it online instead of I was just thinking, you know, I can get it, I think, for about $12 a roll. I get it from them for $25. But then the $12 they charge, like, I think it's like $7 or $9 for shipping. And that was a few years ago. Like, I have not purchased my own online in a while. I figured, well, I'll just purchase it locally, and that way I can support a local shop. But if they can't keep the black in stock as much as I need it, then I might just have to order my own and make sure I always have my own. There's no point in my customers having to not get the black cord that I offer just because another shop doesn't have it. So the next like 75 to 100 necklaces that I'm tying up are going to be brown. But that's all right. It's a little bit lighter than the black, so it's not too bad. All right, how long was that one? There is no way that one was only 4 minutes. We're 34 minutes in. I thought that first one was like 30 minutes, and now this one's 34. What? All right, let's do a timer here. I'm like, what is going on here? That was way too quick. All right, let's do this again. Like, seriously, was that really 4 minutes? There's no way I made that in 4 minutes. I don't know. Maybe I checked the time and I like rounded it up to 30 minutes. Maybe we were at like 26. I don't know. Yeah, that one was way too quick, right? The speed test. Yeah, it definitely took no time at all. Got faster as I go. All right, well, let's see how fast this one is. And that last one was even with that mistake. Remember, I had to like peel off the first stab. I was like, oh, I don't like that. All right, I'll add the gills underneath where all the spores come from. If I can get these down in 10 minutes, that'll be sweet. I don't know. Did I actually just do that? All right, well, we started this where we were 34 minutes in, so we'll see. Even with the little prep work in there, get that red ready for the next time. And just force that red to go over. All of those gills there. Add the dots. Yeah, these are getting quick. And then the trick is when you're adding the dots, you want to add like a couple little tiny ones and a couple bigger ones, and you want to offset them. You want to try to get them on the rim of the mushroom, but without touching the clear glass. All right, then you add the dots on there, melt it down. So the crazy thing about sharing the process like this is that other glass artists will then come in and they'll swoop in and they'll take your idea, right? And they won't give you any sort of credit, and then they'll just sell it as their own, and they'll undercut you if they can. They'll sell it for less, so that way if you're already got someone purchasing from you, then they might try to take your clientele. Glass blowers are pretty dang cutthroat, man. There's no sort of standards. People are like, oh, you got those for $5? Well, let me get it to you for $4. Hey, what's going on, Pro Cannabis Warrior? Greetings from Belgium again. Is that a deck? This is a deck. Check it out. This is a deck of balloon cards here. And I got an autograph from my pilot. Every time that I fly, I will date the day that I fly. So I don't know if you can see that. You date the day, and then I have him sign it. It's my own little thing. But yeah, it's a complete, like, it's from 5-7 years ago, those cards, and he said those are the last of that style there. I'll pull them out here in a sec. Oh, what? You giving me the credit as your glass master. Well, thank you so much. I do hope that you're learning a lot from me and that I am explaining it well enough, because it's different when I got a student like actually in studio working with me, and I can like help them be like, hey, lift your arm up like this, or lift your arm up like this, or tweak it back like this, or, you know, there's so many different things, you know. Lift your hand up higher than the torch. You know, bring it down lower than the torch. All kinds of different angles that we got to work. And then the camera angle that you guys are seeing, you know, it's not the same angle as where my eyes are, so you probably are seeing a little bit different of an angle than what I'm seeing. All right, we're about to get this molten in here. All right, that last one was really quick. Now we're gonna really do a real timer on here. Yeah. Nice. I love it when I can see that clear glass wrapped around that whole mushroom cap, and that way I know. Where's the mushroom stem? Okay, I'm like, there is a stem in there, right? Another thing that you could do is you could twist the whole mushroom stem and make it a spirally mushroom stem if you wanted to do that. I tend to try to keep mine nice and straight, if possible. And then another thing that I could do would be to round this out and then give it a flat back and put some color on the back of it, you know, make it all nice and fancy. I tell where I learned it from. I am, but you do it easy. I struggle. Oh, the loops. So the loops or the bell of the necklaces or the pendant, those are like the most important thing to me. If the loop or the bell breaks, then it's no longer a pendant. Then you just got yourself a little paperweight or a marble, right? So I really do take pride in making sure that my loops are nice and strong and thick. They're at least like a 3 millimeter, maybe even 4 millimeter thick when I get done with them. You know, I really don't keep them thin and flimsy and fragile. I really, really do take pride in my loops. That's the one thing that when I teach, I always teach that, you know, make sure your pendant has a strong loop or a bell, or else it won't remain a pendant. Once that breaks, then you just got a marble or a paperweight. All right, and this is probably the last one that I can make here, guys. It's 8:32. Wait, this thing says started streaming 34 minutes ago. It's still stuck at 34 minutes. So I don't know what kind of timing we got here now. Let me check my phone. I can't read that. Okay. My phone says 8:38. That's weird. It just stopped at the 34 minutes streaming. That's what my screen says. It says streaming for 34 minutes. We're still at 34 minutes. It's like this one took no time at all. All right, well, I'm going to let you guys go after this one. I got to get my daughter to school. But I hope you've learned a little bit on how to make these amanita mushrooms. Like I said, these things are worth like, you know, $40 or $50. I do sell them for $20. I make them pretty quickly. I think, you know, I try to make $20 an hour at my minimum. And I can make up to like $100 an hour sometimes, depending on what I'm working on and what I'm making. Melting down glass is always what takes so much time. All right, do you guys got any more questions for me or anything else? I will be coming back again making more glass balloons. Even though that Balloon Fiesta is over, I still have a bunch of orders, guys. I have a lot of orders still. And I'll definitely be documenting those. Uh-oh. That's crazy. As I was talking about how sometimes that cap will come out to the edge, this one did. I'm going to try to hide it back. I don't know if you can see that or not. It like goes up to that edge right there. And it kind of like sticks out. I can tell it's sticking out some. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of clear glass right over that. And now that should be encased and embedded. I just added a little line right over where it was sticking out, and we just melt it in, and hopefully that hides it back. It's a little trick. I don't know if it's already been misshapen though. It's gonna have like a little flat spot that kind of like sticks out or whatever. But even I make mistakes from time to time, and I do my best to just cover it up, and then hopefully no one knows and no one can tell. And I'll just melt it all down. You can see it's got that little bump right there. I'm just going to slowly keep on melting it down. Yeah, I think that mushroom's got a little deformity going now. What you gonna do? So when you don't encase it entirely, and it gets a weird shape. I don't know if I can show you the shaping on this. Yeah, and I can't really fix that at all. That's just the way it's gonna be. So this mushroom, I don't know if you can see that, it's got a weird, it's like it got pulled on that one side there. Almost looks like a baseball cap, right? Like a ball cap. Alright, well, I'm just going to finish this one up. We'll still put it up there. If someone decides they want it, then they'll choose it. But I don't like it. I did not notice that when I encased it, it didn't fully encase it entirely. That's what I'm talking about. If you don't encase it entirely, then it looks all messed up. I don't like it at all. Oh my God. Well, we were talking about a flat back. Maybe I could just do that. Or just hide it all the way on its backside. Add a little clear glass or color cobalt to it here. All right. We'll see you again soon, not so fast. Thank you for tuning in. I do appreciate you. This is going to add a little bit more time to it, hopefully. We won't get my daughter late now. So now what this is going to do is just going to create a blue background to it. And I could have done any color. White would have looked pretty cool. But I don't know. I tend to use cobalt a lot. I like cobalt. And then when I flatten it, I notice that there's like some thick parts on it. So I'll make sure that I grab it with my paddle and like kind of force it. You know, I kind of like, force it into place. If there's like thick parts or whatever, I really move it. really manipulate that glass. So I'm going to heat up this whole backside here where the cobalt is. Try to keep the flame off of the front part where it's all rounded. Lay it flat naturally. And use the paddle and just kind of this way where I rock it back and forth. Trying not to flatten that. Cool. And then you got yourself cobalt background. So now this one is even worth more. It was a mistake and now it's worth more. And you won't be able to see what I did with flattening that one side because it's going to be on the back. Well, hopefully you won't see it. I'm going to try to pull this cobalt up into the loop without deforming or shaping messing up the shape of the mushroom here. Alright, here comes that blue. It's coming up. Slowly getting it to stretch and to elongate. And then when I pull it, I look at it so I can keep that blue straight and make sure it pulls with the loop, and I bring it forward. And then in the fire, I bring it back on itself. And you can see it's got a little bit of a bend. It's a little crooked, so as I shape this, I'll make sure I straighten that out. Alright, and we're going to put this in the kiln, and I'm going to let you guys go. I hope you guys have an awesome day. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Make sure that you check out all of the live streams of the Dawn Patrol show, and especially on the first Sunday, which is October 5th. October 5th, I actually went up in the balloon. So if you want to get yourself a balloon ride, make sure that you tune in to Sunday, October 5th, my live stream. And it might be choppy here and there because there's thousands of people who are trying to stream all at the same time. So just bear with me, and you know, it might cut out here and there, but you'll be able to get a ride for sure. And then I cut out before we land because the pilot says, you want to get ready for something crazy. And we dropped thousands of feet from the air, from like 7,500 feet, and we just dropped down to a landing. It was so crazy. The way he uses the burners like brakes, and he just slows it down so we don't just come smashing down into the ground. So amazing. He's such an amazing pilot. Alright, there you go. And now that is fixed and it is done, guys. Alright, thank you for tuning in and watching. I'm Dan the Glass Man. I'm going to do a couple dabs real quick, and then I'm going to get out of here. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for tuning in. You're welcome for the knowledge. I appreciate you all coming in and watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and make sure you tune in to all of the Balloon Fiesta. It's an amazing sight to see. Amazing sight. All right, I'm out. You guys have a beautiful day. Later.